The Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, the 21st chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
When some were speaking about the temple, how it was adorned with beautiful stones and gifts dedicated to God, Jesus said, "As for these things that you see, the days will come when not one stone will be left upon another. All will be thrown down." They asked him, "Teacher, when will this be, and what will be the sign that this is about to take place?" And he said, "Beware that you are not led astray, for many will come in my name and say, 'I am he,' and 'the time is near.' Do not go after them. When you hear of wars and insurrections, do not be terrified, for these things must take place first. But the end will not follow immediately." Then he said to them, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, and in various places famines and plagues, and there will be dreadful portents and great signs from heaven. But before all this occurs, they will arrest you and persecute you. They will hand you over to synagogues and prisons, and you will be brought before kings and governors because of my name. This will give you an opportunity to testify. So make up your minds not to prepare for your defense in advance, for I will give you words and a wisdom that none of your opponents will be able to withstand or contradict. You will be betrayed, even by parents and siblings, by relatives and friends, and they will put some of you to death. You will be hated by all because of my name, but not a hair of your head will perish. By your endurance you will gain your soul." This is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
I learned a new word this week. It was my husband that came across it, and he was so delighted with it that now he uses it constantly. The word uses a very familiar prefix, "eu," which means good. So, eulogy, good words; euthanasia, good death; euphoria, good mood. And it is also the same from Greek that gives us the good news, as in gospel. So, the word I learned was eucatastrophe. You know catastrophe, disaster and collapse, so put them together. Good catastrophe. It was Tolkien who coined that word in the 1940s to describe a sudden turn of fortune from a seemingly unconquerable situation to an unforeseen victory, usually brought by grace rather than heroic effort. So, by surprise, great evil and misfortune is averted. Jesus, of course, had never heard that word, but you would think he had listening to today's text. When I read it, I imagined him in this BBC news anchor voice, because this could be tonight's headlines. He names wars, insurrections, conflict between countries and ethnic groups, then earthquakes, famines, plagues, and then he zooms in closer. Unjust imprisonment, persecution, betrayal among family and friends, senseless violence, and festering hatred. But in the middle of all this plain, unsoftened catastrophe, Jesus says, and he doesn't say it like angels when they say, "Fear not," and something glorious follows. He says simply, "Do not be terrified." After a list like that. And he's not done either. I left out a couple of catastrophes from his list. He also speaks of religious devastation, the temple, the center of worship, identity, and stability reduced to rubble, and charlatans and liars rising to prey on shaken people. So Jesus' list doesn't only say far away on the levels of nations and earthquakes, it comes all the way down into our living rooms and dinner tables. He talks about family members turning against one another, relationships fracturing, and trust wearing thin. And as we head into preparing for Thanksgiving, many of us feel exactly that. Some are already planning seating charged with more strategy than a general on a battlefield, because some are rehearsing what not to say, and some are bracing for the things that might be said. And you're lucky, among the lucky few, if your holiday table has no tension at all, because the stress and division of our cultural moment has worked their way right into our families. So when Jesus says, "Do not be terrified," he's speaking to us not only about world events far away, but also about the tight knots in our stomach as we approach a holiday that is supposed to be simple and about Thanksgiving, but rarely is. And into that, Jesus speaks, "Do not be terrified." And then he adds something that at first feels like added weight. By your endurance, you will gain your souls. At first it sounds like endure everything. Political collapse, environmental disaster, societal unraveling, family fractures. And if you do that well enough, maybe your soul will be all right. But that isn't what Jesus says. He does not say endurance will save your soul. He says endurance will help you gain it. That's different. It shifts the burden. Instead of it's all on you to withstand every catastrophe with heroic cheerfulness, Jesus is saying, enduring such times can fortify you, anchor you, give you back to yourself, root your soul in the one who will not be toppled by disaster. Jesus hides the hope in this passage really, really well, almost like he tucks it inside the text to be discovered only by those willing to go looking hard and are desperate to find it. But it is there. And I see two little glimmers of light among all the horrors. And maybe Jesus wants us to feel the weight of catastrophe, so that when we glimpse hope, we cling to it. Maybe he wants us to name reality honestly, because suffering, abuse, destruction, and evil are real. Our wounds are real, and some losses cannot be reversed. Glimmer 1. In verse 9, Jesus says, these things must take place first. He's not saying the mess is good, the mess is inescapable, Jesus says. But in the gloom of that is also the faint glimmer that somewhere, somehow, there is a plan, a purpose, something beyond my horizon that can make this all right. It is not random chaos. There's some larger purpose, mysterious to us, but that will hold and transform even this. And when our hope threatens to shrink down to nothing more than a faint spark, our readings today give us Malachi to widen it again. The Son of Righteousness shall rise with healing in its wings. So hold on to that, because this story has a eucatastrophe. It just doesn't look like one yet. So what else is it that Jesus hides for us in this massive list of alarming and anxiety-producing calamities? That's glimmer 2 for me, when Jesus says, this will give you an opportunity to testify. At first, that sounds like another really, really faint glimmer, but it is actually deeply human wisdom. Research on anxiety shows that one of the most effective ways to manage fear, worry, and hopelessness is action. Even when the action does not directly help solve the problem. When problems are too big or not solvable, fixing something, making something, learning something, playing, growing something, all these ground us again. When Luther was asked what he would do if he knew the world would end tomorrow, he said he'd plant a tree. And that is one form of testimony and of witnessing, the transmutation of fear into trust. And Paul says it plainly today, do not weary of doing what is right. There is no act of testimony more powerful than caring for the vulnerable, feeding the hungry, welcoming the stranger, clothing and sheltering those in need, visiting the sick and imprisoned. When we do these things, we announce by word and deed that catastrophe is not the only reality and does not get the last word. We enact the hope we can't always feel. And this is how we endure. This is how we gain our souls. 1, we remember that our moment is only one chapter in a much bigger story. And 2, we persist in doing what is right. Jesus may never have heard the word eucatastrophe, but he is the eucatastrophe of human history. When the Son of Righteousness rose with healing in its wings, as Malachi tells us, it rose first as a glimmer in a manger, a baby among straw and buzzing flies. And then it rose again in the ultimate eucatastrophe, the dirty laundry that was the only thing left in the empty tomb on Easter morning. This is the surprise, the good catastrophe that has already turned the tide. So yes, these things must take place. Humans will not fix the world's unraveling by our own power, but we can love, we can play, we can care for our fellow humans and the earth and its creatures. We can do what is right without wearying. We can live as people who testify to hope even in catastrophe, as people who are gaining our souls, as people shaped by the one who is the unforeseen victory, the grace-born turn, the eucatastrophe that we never could have imagined. Amen.